What if I told you that the global financial system, the one you and I rely on every single day, was never built to help you grow wealth, but to quietly drain it from the bottom and funnel it upward? What if the rising costs you feel, the shrinking value of your paycheck, the debt cycle you can't seem to escape, aren't economic problems, but features of a design created more than a century ago, a design that still operates perfectly today? Because there is a structure you were never taught, a mechanism you were never shown, a secret design that keeps money flowing up the pyramid, not down. And today you're going to see exactly how it works. To understand the mechanism, we need to step back into the early 1900s, a period when the world's biggest bankers, industrial giants, and political elites were quietly shaping the rules of modern finance. Names like J.P. Morgan, Paul Warburg, and a handful of European banking families. These weren't ordinary businessmen. They were architects of influence, people who could collapse markets with a whisper, rescue governments with a loan, or rewrite economic rules with a single meeting. In 1910, on a secluded island off the coast of Georgia, 7 men met in secret. They arrived under fake names, traveled in silence, and locked themselves inside a private retreat. Their mission wasn't to design a bank, but to redesign the money system itself. What they created would later be disguised as a public institution, marketed as a safeguard against crisis, and presented as a tool for stability. But the twist? Its structure almost guaranteed one thing: money would always flow upward, never downward. Before their design, money behaved differently. Currencies were backed by real assets, mostly gold. Governments couldn't print endlessly. Debt had limits. And crises, though painful, couldn't spread globally in seconds. But the elites saw a problem. A system backed by gold restricted their power. You can't create wealth from nothing if every dollar must be tied to something real. So the architects introduced something revolutionary: a central bank that could create money from debt, and a banking structure that multiplied that debt again and again. This was the birth of fractional reserve banking, the engine of the pyramid. Here's the secret you were never taught. Every time you borrow a dollar, the bank isn't giving you someone's savings. It's creating a new dollar out of thin air. But you must pay that dollar back with interest. And that interest is what flows upward. Once the system was in place, something incredible happened. Governments began borrowing more because they could. Banks began lending more because they were allowed to. And citizens began depending on debt because they had no choice. Debt became the most profitable product in history. Every decade, the design tightened its grip. 1933. Gold ownership restricted. 1944. The dollar becomes global money. 1971. The gold limit is removed entirely. Money becomes pure credit. 1980s 2000s. Financial markets explode with new forms of leverage. 2008. The system proves it can collapse, but also proves it can be saved with even more debt. The pyramid grows every time there is a crisis. The base widens, the top rises. And the people at the base? They are the fuel. By the time the modern digital era arrives, the cracks are impossible to hide. Household wages stagnate, but corporate profits skyrocket. The cost of living rises, but currency purchasing power collapses. Governments promise growth, but borrow more every year just to stay alive. And here's the moment the design becomes undeniable. Global debt surpasses global GDP many times over. There is now more debt than money in existence. This is the trick at the center of the pyramid. The system requires permanent debt. Not temporary, not manageable, permanent. Because without debt, the money supply collapses. Without borrowing, the pyramid stops expanding. And when the expansion stops, the entire structure begins to fall. When governments overspend, who pays? You do, through inflation. When banks take risky bets and fail, who saves them? You do, through bailouts. When currencies lose value, whose wealth evaporates? Yours, not theirs. Look at the pattern. After the 2008 crisis, the top 1% doubled their wealth. After the pandemic stimulus, billionaires gained trillions while households gained debt. After every rate hike or rate cut, financial elites position themselves to benefit, long before you even know what's happening. The system was not built to fail. It was built to shift the consequences downward and the rewards upward. Governments try to sell you solutions every few years: stimulus packages, interest rate changes, printing money, debt forgiveness. regulations that rarely get enforced, financial reforms that never touch the real problem. But none of these fix the underlying design. Why? Because the system is not broken. It's performing exactly the way it was intended. Debt grows. Money concentrates. Wealth rises to the top. And ordinary citizens are left competing for shrinking purchasing power. You can't fix a pyramid by rearranging the stones at the base. The shape always pulls everything upward. Look at today's numbers. They reveal the same pattern in plain sight. Global debt has crossed $315 trillion. Over 60% of all US dollars in existence were created in under 3 years. The top 0.01% now hold more wealth than the bottom 70%. For every $1 increase in wages, $5 in new debt is created. And the average currency loses over 90% of its value within a human lifetime. These aren't accidents. These are outcomes. Outcomes of a design where money is not wealth, money is debt. And debt always flows upward. Takeaway 1. The financial system isn't chaotic, it's structured. It operates on rules that quietly extract value from the base of the pyramid and redirect it upward. Takeaway 2. Debt is not a side effect of modern economies. It is the engine. Without debt, the system cannot expand. Without expansion, it collapses. Takeaway 3. Wealth doesn't disappear during crises. It transfers. Every crash moves money from those who don't understand the system to those who do. Final warning. The design isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. And if you don't understand how the pyramid works, you will spend your entire life climbing a structure that was never meant to let you rise. Call to action. If you want to understand the hidden mechanics behind money, debt, and global power, and learn how to protect yourself from the next shift in this pyramid, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Because we're just getting started.